flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa. Elevate your new week, fuel your success. SSM invites you to kickstart each weekday with our news update Between the Lines, featuring the week's top news and analysis and the most attention-grabbing lines, deciphering world events. Hook up to SSM Monday program Between the Lines.
That's right. We're here. George is here. Mark Godwin is here. George, how are you today?
I am wonderful. Had a wonderful weekend, and viewers from around the world, welcome you to our Monday Between the Lines news update.
Beautiful. And you look, the dress code looks shows you're wonderful.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
Nice. You're welcome, George.
It's a pleasure.
We have to represent. Yes.
That's right.
Viewers, you're welcome once again. It's Between the Line, the 29th day of September. I think this will be the last day of the month, the last Monday in the month of September 2025. And we're here on our program Between the Lines. George,
Yes.
it's something about there was this plan a man had in Nigeria, and we have similar plans in some parts of the world. It's called shadow cabinet in governance. Now, we had this friend of ours, Pat Utomi. Pat Utomi came up with this idea, a brilliant idea, because something to checkmate the government in power is useful. So, but today, the court held that Pat Utomi and his associates cannot have that shadow cabinet. George, what do you know? What do you know about this?
That's a very huge story from Abuja, actually. And what we saw was that Pat Utomi had wanted this to take place, but the only problem with that plan was that that is for a parliamentary system of government and cannot be implemented when you have a presidential executive system. So that is the major problem, the major issue. The bone of contention here is for a parliamentary system of government, especially those that are akin to the Westminster, type of government in the UK. Yes, it is indeed. Canada have a parliamentary system. They have a shadow government, but Nigeria cannot have it. So for him to even plan on implementing such a system in Nigeria under the executive a presidential system of government, it is unacceptable. So the court was actually right in condemning it, because it could create some situations, some bad, situation. Actually, the judge eventually was able to commend the DSS for filing such a suit, and I'm quite sure that it must have been from the presidency for them to do that. But it's something that is, very good that they did, and the judge is actually correct. 100% correct. You cannot implement a shadow government, which is only meant for parliamentary system of government, in a presidential executive system. So that was okay.
George, I don't know. Okay, you sound like you understand what you're saying. Viewers, we're talking about what happened in Nigeria with the court declaring Pat Utomi, the man you see there, the fair, light-skinned man you see there. They declared that his shadow cabinet is unlawful. Actually, it was a suit filed by the DSS, the Department of State Service, filed that suit. But let's explain, like George has done, what the shadow government does is it consists normally of senior group of opposition spokespeople, and under that leadership, they like an alternative to the present government. And most times they look into what the government in power does, you know. But George, what about if we look at it in terms of um, opposition? In terms of opposition, why can't any form of government, be it parliamentary, democratic, whatever, Republican, federal, whatever forms of government they are running, why can't they have it if they want to, as an opposition to the sitting power? George, I think we lost George there. Okay, viewers, so we are discussing present situation with Pat Utomi, a young Nigerian man that has that tried to form a cabinet, the shadow government, ministry style government, but the plan has been axed. The plan has been declared unlawful. So this is what we're getting this evening from Nigeria. You are tuning to Between the Lines, and I'm here. I think somehow George's network probably went off, but I'm here, so we'll continue. Okay, George. Yeah, George, you're back.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
So
What I was asking, I was asking, what about having a shadow government, regardless of the form of the system of governance, parliamentary or democratic, whatever system? What about having a shadow government as an opposition, something that checkmates the government in power? I mean, that was what this man wanted to do. That was all he wanted to do.
What is happening is this. In a parliamentary system of government, you can have a shadow government. And that shadow government is, there are so many benefits that comes with it. Number one, a shadow government prepares the opposition to take over. Therefore, they can have a shadow, let's say, Minister of Finance. They can have a shadow Minister of Finance who is going to be critiquing everything that the minister does, the ruling party does. But in a presidential type of government, you can have an opposition, like what you have in Nigeria with Atiku, Obi, and the rest of them, basically saying, okay, now we can checkmate you, we can find out what you do. They can criticize them. But to have a shadow government under a constitution, constitutionally, in a presidential system of government is illegal. It cannot happen.
Okay, but George, it's not that this shadow government has executive power. They cannot execute anything. They only scrutinize policies. Policy, that's all. I mean, it's not like they have the power to do anything.
In every system of governance, in every system of governance, like say for instance, in a parliamentary system, which is akin to it started with what do you call it, with the Westminster type of government in UK. That's where that parliamentary system originated from. You can have a shadow government, like what you see in UK today. You always see this our sister that is there, always out there talking, because you have a shadow government there. In a presidential system, the constitution does not allow a shadow government. You can have an opposition like the PD, like what you have in Democrats in US. You are like what you have right now in Nigeria. You have the APC government that is ruling. PDP now is basically like an opposition, but you cannot have a shadow government. Constitutionally, is not allowed. Because every system of government have their own criteria and the way they're supposed to govern. So our presidential system of government, like America cannot have a shadow government because it's a presidential system, and that's the kind of system that Nigeria is running. So what it is in countries like UK, Canada, which run a parliamentary Westminster model, the opposition does from a shadow cabinet, basically a government waiting that mirrors the ruling party. But in Nigeria, presidential system of democracy, there is no room constitutionally for that. So when Justice Omotosho or whatever his name was who actually, made a decision on this. He is 100% correct. As a matter of fact, it kind of, the question is, Pat Utomi is an educated man, and he understands the systems of government. For him to even try to implement it in Nigeria, it's not correct. You have to question his, argument when it comes
Yeah,
to
yeah.
that.
But George,
You cannot do
George,
that.
I understand you. I get you. I get you very well. But really, okay. Let me also open up something. The shadow government also is running, even though the cabinet members are not active. Is running here in the Nigerian diaspora. 3 years ago, it was formed by the ADC party and the chairman. But though many of the officers are not active, but we have similar thing here. He was scrutinized too. He was scrutinized for forming that, but we held on because there was need for that opposition. You see, what I'm trying to pinpoint is the opposition, that ability to scrutinize the policies and the action of the government, and also to give ideas, alternative ideas, but they can't execute anything. You
That
just
is
give
exactly what
ideas.
is happening in
Yes.
Nigeria.
So,
You
so
see,
that's
you
what we
always
have.
see Atiku. You see Atiku
Mhm,
coming to
mhm,
attack the government. So he's an
mhm.
opposition party,
Yeah,
but
but
he's not a
they are
shadow
not. They
government.
are just attacking. They are not really giving out ideas and
No, they
alternatives. They
can
are just
criticize, they can
talking
suggest,
on the government.
that's all you
You
can
know?
do. But our
Mhm.
system does not allow a shadow system of government or cabinet.
I
It's not
understand.
possible under
It's
our
not
own
possible.
democratic type
Yes,
of style of
yes.
government. So,
But it would have been nice we have that kind of system because
if we have it,
previously,
then that means we
yeah.
need to. This is exactly what they have been clamoring for
Mhm.
Nigeria to implement a parliamentary type of government. And to implement a parliamentary type of government, you see UK, you will see the Prime Minister Stammer there, and they
Mhm.
see the
Mhm.
shadow government under our system. What's
Mhm.
that? Kemi,
Mhm. Mhm.
coming, and they argue openly. Now, I
Mhm.
believe
Well,
that Nigeria,
Kemi is not in the shadow government. It's not shadow. Kemi is in another party. The shadow
of
government
course,
is also
no, no,
yeah.
no, 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 no.
Mhm.
Listen to this. It is the
Mhm.
other party that will create a shadow government, not the main
Mhm.
ruling party. It is the opposition government. For instance, today in Nigeria,
The opposition
APC,
government.
APC is the ruling party. Now,
Mhm.
PDP should have been the shadow government if we had a parliamentary
Mhm.
system.
That's correct.
So
That's correct.
these are not the other
Mhm.
party that will form
Mhm.
a shadow
Forms.
government, and
Yes. Yes.
each cabinet will have an opposition, a shadow person who will
Against
be
the government. Yes.
scrutinizing,
That's
criticizing
correct.
everything they do. So that's how it is done. Now you guys
Okay.
are operating this in Milan. The only reason why it's
Mhm.
been around is because allowed is simply because there are no constitutional provisions, for the type of government you guys have. But where there is a
Mhm.
constitutional provision,
No,
there is
no.
no way shadow
Yes.
government can come under a presidential system of government.
Yes. No, no,
Not
we don't
allowed.
have shadow government in Italy. I'm only saying the
I'm talking
diaspora,
about
The
no.
Nigerian
That's what I'm
diaspora.
saying. Diaspora. That's what I'm saying.
It's not Milan. It's actually the headquarters is in Germany, and we have members all over Europe, the UK, France, Spain, all parts. Each person representing, but though they are not very active as of now. All
Yeah,
right,
but
George.
what I'm
George, good
saying is
one. Good one.
when the
Mhm.
promoter,
No, no, I get you. I get you.
when he
I get you.
condemned the, commended
Mm-hmm.
the DSS, actually
Mm-hmm.
after looking into it, he commended them that they acted
Mm-hmm.
rightly, to stop
Yes,
this.
yes, that's what the
So,
news said.
and
That's
he's
correct.
correct. He's correct.
That's correct. All right, George. George, let's also talk close to your place there. Yesterday, we saw the news flying. Two people were killed, and at least more than 8 others were injured when there was a shooting in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan. George,
Mm.
let's see this clip while you tell us what's going on. Yes, go ahead, George. It's
Yes, a grown man drove a truck into a Michigan church Sunday morning service, opened
mhm.
fire and a rifle with a rifle, and set ablaze the whole entire building. Okay, now
Wow.
we saw that
That's
about
what we are
four
seeing there.
people were killed and 8 others were injured. churchgoers were hailed as heroes for, actually shielding children from the danger. So this is what you saw there. And the attacker actually is 40 years old, Thomas Jacob Sanford. He was an Iran war veteran. And he was shot, killed by the police, in the parking lot of that particular place, because he
Yes.
stayed there after he set the place on fire. He stayed there, and then the FBI is leading an investigation, calling it an act of targeted violence. But the motive is not yet known. They're just finding out the motive right now. The governor,
Okay.
Gresham Whitmore, ordered flags lowered for the violence that took place in
Yeah.
Michigan. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very,
Thank you,
very
George.
sad.
So
Very sad.
yeah. So the police came right on time, exchanged fire with the gunman, and killed him. And but people have died too. But how do you carry such an attack in a church, George? I mean, Saint Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's a church. That's a religious gathering.
Yeah, that's a
And
Mormon church, actually. Mormon.
yeah, the Mormon church. So, what could be? You say we're still to hear the investigation. Is that correct? What could have
Yes,
led to
they're
this?
trying to find the motive
Mhm.
behind the attack, and especially from somebody who was a war veteran from Iraq. So whether
What?
it's going to be more like a mental health situation, we don't know. But
Mm,
until after the investigation, we can tell what the reason why behind the motive behind the attack.
Thank you. All right, viewers, we're tuned into Monday News Starter Between the Lines. George and I are here. George, we're still hearing of more not too good news from Dangote and different arms of organization. Now, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria is seeking an apology from Dangote for sacking 800 Nigerian workers. That's not a good news, because 800 people laid out in this hard time. That's families, and I mean, so they are asking that the union gives an apology for that dismissal of those number of people. George, how do people cope when there's this kind of thing? And Dangote, how come? Is he at fault? Is the company, is that
You have to
organization?
understand. You have to understand what is really. I mean, part of what is going on here is
Mhm.
Dangote on one side is trying to protect his, investment. That's what you see.
Yes.
And you see from the time that he started and up until this time that we know that many Dangote, Nigeria is dependent on Dangote today for our local consumption of fuel. And then they have been so good in quelling that situation where you don't have a lot of long lines anymore at the gas station and stuff like that, or depending on imports. So Dangote has done so well, but he invested billions into his company. So what happened was Pengasan, actually the Natural Gas and Association, whatever, Petroleum and Natural Gas Gas Senior Staff Association, wanted to
Mhm.
bring people in. Now, Dangote is suspecting that with this coming in, that it would disrupt his system of running Dangote refineries. And that is
Refinery.
part of the reason why he decided. And remember that prior to this time also, there's been a lot of conspiracy against
Yeah.
Dangote, and everything to stop him from being efficient in distributing fuel in Nigeria, and all the great things he's done for the public. I'm telling you.
Mm,
So
mm,
now, when he found out this, that could have helped. That could have hijacked the system. When you talk about the union, and when they join the union, they can stop, they can demand, and if you decide not to, they will stop the whole entire thing. Now,
yeah,
what we
entire-
are seeing is that TUC is actually fueling this, and they need
Ah,
to stop it, because the people who will suffer tomorrow in Nigeria is when the production stops or stalled or stagnated. You're going to see a lot of gas stations run out of the petroleum, and then all of a sudden you're going to see the same thing that happened earlier last year, and even in the middle early this year, where gas stations are lines of people leaving their cars for 3 days in the gas
But
station.
what the TUC is saying, George, is that the refinery, the Dangote refinery, violated these sack workers. They violated their constitutional rights. So probably that means that they were not to be sacked that the way they were sacked. 800 of them, George. That's a huge number.
It
So
is a huge number, but also each company have their own
yeah.
modus operandi. They know how to operate. Do you
Mm-hmm.
understand? So now, if I'm running my own company the way I'm running it, I have my internal constitution that governs the way that I do things. Now, I cannot, in all honesty, no, maybe they're sacking the 800. Maybe they were warned not to, join with this union, and they refused, or they insisted, and before they were fired. Until we get the internal memos about what really happened before the firing, we cannot assume. But so far, what we are seeing is if Pengerson and the TUC get what they want, Nigerians will suffer. Nigerians will be the ones that will suffer tomorrow. And this is something that we cannot afford to happen again, because companies will be affected, people will not be going to work, prices of transportation will also be increased. So I believe that the best way to do this now is for the government to get involved and bring a mandate for them to sit down and stop this threatening of stopping, what do you call it? Making sure that the Dangote refinery receives the petroleum that they're supposed to receive in order to refine it. Because so far you have seen that he solved the problem of gas in Nigeria. He solved it. People are calm now. Things have gotten back to normal. But with this type of kind of sabotage that is about to take place, the people will suffer. We cannot afford it at this time. The government needs to get involved, quell this, and stop it. If there is any negotiations that needs to be done, let it be done from that standpoint. Yes.
Okay. Let's hope that it's how you say it. George, thank you. George, let's go on a short break. We don't want to take all the time today. Wherever we stop, we stop. And so let's do a small break. See you on the other end. Viewers, you're tuned in to SSM Monday Startup Between the Lines, and I'm here with George from Toronto, Canada. See you on the other side.
In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa.
Elevate your new week. Fuel your success. SSM invites you to kickstart each weekday with our news update, Between the Lines, featuring the week's top news and analysis, and the most attention-grabbing lines, Deciphering World Event.
All right, George, viewers, you're back to SSM Monday Starters Between the Lines. George, in about 2 days' time, few hours from now, Nigeria will be celebrating its 65th independence anniversary. So what happened was during the weekend, we saw some personality, some political leaders visit the church. They went to church to pray, and that looked good. So yes, if you're saying that, that's the Senate leader Fabio Akumi Musa. Musa is the chief of defense staff, Christopher Musa, and others attend special service for Nigeria at 65. And we saw some other clips too. George, the man is getting old. 65-year-old man is a grandfather, probably a great grandfather too. But is the man doing well for 65, George?
Well, I'm gonna give the man D minus. I'm gonna give the man D minus. You know, they have narrowly escaped F. Narrowly. Mm.
Narrowly.
It's as a result of bad government.
Oh dear.
What
Oh
have
dear.
what have kept Nigeria locked down, stagnated? It's nothing but leadership.
Oh.
Leadership. Nigeria, I would consider, you know, has the greatest opportunity to be like like let's just say Singapore, like South Korea in development, and look at India today.
Look
Look
at
at it.
India.
India is a few
Look
years
at India.
ago, Indian citizens used to rush to Nigeria to come and teach and to come and bring their special skills as in medicine and everything, coming to our country to seek employment. Today, India is one of the countries to be reckoned with when it comes to superpower today. So when you talk about China, you talk about India. And when it comes to BRICS, we saw what is going on. So now, when you talk about Russia, you talk about India. Because when they speak, everybody listens. Why is
Everybody
that?
listens.
Why?
Everybody
Because of
listens.
good governance. So they were able to get out of the costs that held them many years ago. Today, their population is even greater. They're the most populated country in the world today, India.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've taken
Number
over from
one.
China. Okay. So now, the only problem we
Mhm.
have in our country today is bad governance. The people of Nigeria are the greatest on the planet Earth when it comes to intelligence, when it comes to acumen, when it comes to anything you can think of. When Nigeria speaks, everybody ought to listen. But
Yep.
today, the only problem is that we have been held back because of bad governance. And
Bad
up until
governance.
today, we're still playing that nonsense that we're playing, because when we see a good person who can deliver that nation, the forces that be, the powers that be, will make sure that the regular people remain at the back burners so that they can use poverty as a weapon to stagnate the nation. And they keep us, you know, they will eat the fat calves, the fat meat, and give you crumbs under the table. And that ought to stop, because enough is becoming enough.
Very
Enough is
true.
becoming
Enough is becoming enough. Viewers, you all agree with what George is saying. If you also have your views, Nigeria 65. George, we heard Wednesday, the 1st of October, will be a public holiday. We, SSM Network, will be here live too. We want to have a special 65 broadcast on that day. We'll all analyze situations back home, see how ways to have a better Nigeria. I think, George, a better Nigeria is possible. Do
a
you think
better
so?
Nigeria is possible if this recycled type of governance will step away from all these elderly people who ought to be in the old people's homes, or becomes elderly state, elderly statesmen to advise the younger people on how to move on. Now, you see, because that's one of the major problems that we're having in our country. You see, now we have a presidential type of government that is operating almost like a dictatorship. They have what you call a shine face type of democracy. Really, in conduct and in everything else, is not democracy. So, and then you see thousands upon thousands of people. In the next how many years, Nigeria would even compete with Brazil and India in population. because people are being born all over the place. But yet, because with all our resources, mineral resources, gas, petroleum, and all the gold and everything that we have in that nation, Nigeria should be feeding the whole West African, if not the whole entire Africa today. We should
Okay.
be. And
Yeah,
that's
George,
God,
George, I hope you'll be here Wednesday
I will
when
be
we'll
here
be
live and direct.
analyzing. Yes, let's talk about Nigeria. It will be in fact, long hour broadcast as we tune in also with our home system, home network, and analyze things. Maybe the more we analyze, give out our own impressions of how it should be. Change could come. Change will come.
Well,
All right, George. Thank
change
you.
will come. Change will come.
Change.
Hopefully, we're
Thank
praying.
you, George. George, let's see. There's a part of Europe called Moldova. Moldova had its election during the weekend, and somehow they said there was Russian interference, but the Moldovans have picked their new leaders, and there seems to be calm, and new government has come to place. So a pro-European party of the Moldovan party has claimed victory. That's Mia Sandu. George, do you have any story on that?
Well, it's a very short story, because
very short.
Serbia is a pro-European government has won a decisive election victory, overcoming what is called a campaign of Russian interference and setting the country firmly on a path towards the European Union. So that's what
Yes.
we are seeing here. And
Yes.
I know Russia have not said anything regarding this, but evidently, it's easy for you to find out who is interfering with your own election
Which was
if you
okay.
have the technology.
George, let's introduce Moldova to our viewers. Moldova is one of those breakout countries from Europe, from Russia in 1991, and when Russia collapsed, Moldova is a poor country anyway, poor European, one of European poorest country. Its economy is basically more on agriculture. The Moldovans are more of Romanian descent. So the two countries have some common cultural heritage. But do you know something, George? This is also the powerhouse of the best wine. The Moldovans have very good wine, the red wine, the grape wine. So that's what they've used to help their economy, agriculture and winery. So all the sellers, all those wine store sellers, that's the best. That's where you have the best of them. So Moldova viewers, now there's a new government, and the Europeans are happy because this government now aligns with them, and we hope to see how the house will run. The parliament now has to have more majority so that decisions will favor them from EU. EU has a very strong hold now on Moldova. Thank you,
now
George.
the question you have to ask yourself: if Ukraine is suffering now simply because they wanted to join, they wanted to join
the part of EU.
Yes. Now, if that is the case, then what question you have to ask yourself this question: what will happen when Moldova now decides to join, the European Union against Russian approval? Will Russia now want to crush them as they are fighting against?
No, Moldova is not like that. Because it's not too economically buoyant. The interest will not be as much as Ukraine. Ukraine is like the food basket of the world. Ukraine is, that's a very rich country, really. So that's why also the interest is on Ukraine from Russians, but not Moldova. Even though there was some small interference, but they'll let go because it's not really worth it. All right, George. Coming to more news, former defense chief of Nigeria says he wants to unveil a new book on the Boko Haram puzzle. He has titled it Scars. George, Scars is a new book by Lucky Rabor, the former chief of defense staff for Nigeria. What do we expect in this book, George? Do you think he's going to let it all out and tell us who's financing Boko Haram, what's keeping them still running till now? What do you think, George? Scars, can you hear me?
Well, yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. The book will be written until we see the book. We cannot decipher what is already in there, but I'm hoping that that the book will tell truth to power, because there are so many things that we say, so many things that we do, and so many of these things that we say and do, they don't bring out the main truth. We want to color the truth. We want to paint the truth. Especially when it comes to Boko Haram, where they came from, who is supporting them, who is fueling them. All these things are things we need to be brought to. We need to bring it open, bring it to light. Because number one is, you cannot tell me that these people are not in favor of them. We saw what happened a few days ago, when these militants came out with their guns and everything, wearing military uniforms and talking about, they negotiating with them. These are enemies of the state that needs to be crushed and brought to ashes if need be. But they are pampering them. You bring them out, you arrest them, they command you, they mandate you to let them go. And they put them all together and come and rehabilitate it. They are giving them wives, giving them virgins to marry, giving them homes to stay in. I mean, come on. These are terrorists. And then you are pampering them like you're pampering your cows and your goats that you gotta sell. No. If they decide to join a terrorist organization, when you arrest them, they ought to face the time. Look at the way they're being pampered as if they are a special group of people. We talk about, Nnamdi Kanu is still languishing in jail simply because of what? And let anybody raise up their head tomorrow and say, oh, we are IPOB or whatever, they will crush them. But these people, they are being pampered. There is such a selective type of treatment in Nigeria that is stagnating our country, and we need to stop that nonsense.
Straight up, George. We most times when there are books like this, I try to be one of the first people to get it, grab it, and look what's in it. So let's see. Scars viewers is former defense chief Lucky Rabot's new book on Nigerians' journey and the Boko Haram puzzle, the Boko Haram story. We all want to hear, because it's a strange thing that a group of militants can hold our country for years now and still be waxing strong in their wickedness. All right, thank you, George. George, let's crop it up with the story of what might happen this Tuesday. The Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is going to meet up with Donald Trump. And do we hope to see a deal to end this Gaza thing, this whole Gaza situation?
Well, I think the reason why Trump is inviting Abibi to come to the White House, after the meeting that just took place with all the nations, Trump boasted of his number of countries that he stopped from killing each other and warring. I believe that Trump invited Bibi to appease him again, so that there will be peace there, so he can stack it up in the number of countries so that he can get that Nobel Peace Prize. That's what I believe that is going to happen. It's going to be a very dicey situation, because Bibi is bent. He's bent on continuing this war until he is ensured that either these people are replaced, moved out of that place, or that there is no smell of Hamas again in West Bank. So that's what I believe that is going to happen. So whether Bibi is going to agree, he might agree in principle to keep the weapons coming, but yet he will still be doing whatever he's doing to try to make sure that that place will become a Riviera that Trump will use for his retirement after this particular, after his 4 years in power.
4 years. George, this one sounds interesting, what you just said now, because truly but George, what I say to people when they talk about Trump trying to use all of this to get a Nobel Prize, it doesn't matter what the aims are. The thing is, there has to be peace. There has been too many blood,
I
too many.
applaud him. I applaud him. No, I
yes,
applaud him.
whatever motive he has, whatever the motive
it doesn't matter to me as long as there is peace in the land. It doesn't matter to me. I applaud him. If he's working towards it and he's intentional in doing that, I applaud him highly, because in essence, we saw these other two countries that came to him. They shook hands in his presence. And then, these countries, I mean, come on. No other president was able to do this, and he's doing it. And then what? Let him continue. If he can stop the war with Israel and the Gaza Strip and stop the war in Ukraine, believe me, hand him an additional Nobel Free Prize. Give him an extra. Give him a golden platter Nobel Prize.
You are talking like I mean, this is what I said to a group of friends the last time we were speaking on this, arguing, discussing on this. I told them, listen, anyhow the man does whatever he's trying to do, let him do it and bring peace. On that note, George, let's go. Yes, beautiful.
Yes. So I applaud Trump in what he's doing when it comes to that. And whenever Trump makes any mistake or makes some of the ways that he's handling, I will condemn it. But I love what that man is doing. So far, he ought to receive a Nobel Peace Prize. But let him continue with this and let him go ahead and stop the war in Gaza with Israel. Let him go ahead and stop the war with Ukraine and Russia. And then we can give him an international golden platter Nobel Peace Prize.
Golden platter. George, we will give him something too from our network.
That's right.
Listen, Trump, SSM will give you another big one here too. I mean, it's not just the Nobel Prize. We have everybody seeks peace. We want peace. Let there be peace in the land. The Bible says, how beautiful for brethren to dwell together in peace and in unity.
And
how beautiful it will be.
So we applaud him for that.
All right, Big George, I want to thank you. It's been straight up 45 minutes of good dialogue. And let's go. So what your word for the new week? What do you tell our friends?
Well, this week is going to be wonderful. I pray for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I pray that this particular TUC and Dangote situation will be quelled down by the government. I pray that God will continue to bless our president and grant him the wisdom and the leadership to rule Nigeria and bring us to that paradise where we are supposed to be. And I pray for the President of the United States of America, while I also pray for the President of Canada, that there will be peace around the world. Everybody go out there, do good to your neighbor, of your neighbor, give water to a thirsty person, give food to somebody who is in need, and help those who are hungry. This is what the Lord do.
Georgie, thank you. All right, viewers, beautiful outing, brief, sharp, straight to the point, and goal-oriented. We're out. See you on Wednesday. Nigeria is celebrating 65 years.
See you at 65 years old of Nigeria. Yes.
Old man. All right, George. Bye-bye. Thank you, viewers.
In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa. Elevate your new week, fuel your success. SSM invites you to kickstart each weekday with our news update Between the Lines, featuring the week's top news and analysis and the most attention-grabbing lines, deciphering world events. Hook up to SSM Monday program Between the Lines.